Good evening, YouTube family. Tio here, back at you. More lake breakdowns. We're still on Texoma. I think we're going to be on this lake for like a month. There's so many videos to do for it, but we're jumping into zone 7 now. We covered zone 6 in the last one. If you guys missed all the previous zones, just go out to our YouTube channel, look at the lake breakdowns playlist, and you'll be able to see all the lake breakdowns in there, not only for Texoma, but also for several other lakes. I think we have about 20 so far, and we continue to add more. Texoma's got us a little slowed down, but we'll add a new one here in just a couple days. Actually, I'm going to be doing Lake Quitman, so you guys will see that as well. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump into this Zone 7, Lake Texoma. Here we go. As I mentioned in the introduction, we're actually on zone 7, so that's what we're going to break down today. But if you missed the other zones, we actually went through 1 through 6 previously. So just go out to the channel, look at the lake breakdowns. But let me show it to you really quick. Zone 1 is going to be all this yellow area, or the yellow pins. Zone 2 is actually going to be these bluer pins. And this looked like a really good area to fish around. Lots of marinas, things like that to fish around. Zone 3 is really this green area, kind of the midsection of the lake. This upper half, it didn't look as good as this side did. This side looked a lot better to me. But again, that's personal preference on what you like to fish. Zone 4 is really more this mid half up here, getting on more of the Oklahoma side. And then when we get over here to zone 5, that's going to be the light blue. And then zone 6 was the purple or pink, whatever color that looks like to you. It's kind of pinkish to me. And then now we are going to go down and we're going to jump into zone 7. So zone 7 is going to be the purple. Zone 8 will be the next video on the red, and then we'll get back into the blue again and finish it up for zone 9. So let's jump into zone 7. First off, one thing I want to talk to you guys about is see where you see these markers. That is going to be a future video that I'll do for you guys for offshore hotspots on Lake Texoma. So that's a totally separate video. But you guys do know that when you get the Simplistic fishing cards from simplisticfish.square.site, when you go out there, you get those cards. It includes not only the Google waypoint areas that I mark for you, but also the offshore hotspots. So it really breaks down any area of the lake that you want and gives you a really good idea of what to go fish. So let's look at the dates here as far as when we want to break this down. 2014 seems to be the best date for just about any lake that we go to. So let's move this back here. I'm going to take it back. This is 2016. You can see it's got some pretty good, it's down pretty good here. Let's see if we can get it any further. I was thinking it was 2014, but let's take a look. 11 of 2014 doesn't look that good. April, there it is. April of 2014 is going to be the date that we want to get. So let's start right here. Let me zoom back out real quick and show you. Actually, we're going to come up. I went down too far. We're going to start right here. We're going to work all the way down. We're going to come around off of that point. Once we get done there, we'll hop over here. We'll talk about these couple points over here, and then we'll wrap up the video. This is going to be a longer one than we were accustomed to in the other ones, just because we have so many points to talk about. So let's go ahead and jump into this thing, and let's see what we can find. So first thing that I found as far as when I came into this area, this little pocket, is you've got some really good drop-offs here with some pretty big rock right off the edges of them. So you can see here I've marked rock, plus you've got a nice little, almost like a little saddle or something going on in there. So definitely look right in here. This looks like a good area, or even off of that point. That could be a good area as well. Moving on down the bank line, a lot of that stuff looked the same. When I got down in here, did notice there's a pretty good rock pile going off the edge of this. And then you also got tires, and you guys have heard me talk about tires a lot. Tires are always good. Flip around them, throw spoons around them if they're deep, all those things. And then also these break walls can be good as well. So make sure if you're out here fishing this rock pile, fish the rock pile, fish around the rocks, and also fish that break wall as well. So I'm going to zoom back out here a little bit. If we move back further into that marina, the next thing that we find is just a ramp. Now that looks like it's probably a pretty busy ramp, so not sure if you'd be able to fish it or not. But if you're out there off season, though, it's not recreational time. That could be a good place to go look. You've got more break walls up here, and then you got some additional tires that are back in here as well that I marked for you guys. All right, so from there, we're going to move up. We go around the point, Didn't see too much going on those bank lines, but I did mark the random kind of rock piles that we've talked about in all the previous videos where, a lot of the bank line will be the same and then something changes. And on this lake, it's a ton of rock. So it's when does the rock formation change to something else? When is there some sort of transition, or where is there something on this bank line that's different than everything else? And when I found those things, that's when I marked them for you. So you're going to see where I marked rock a lot. And you're probably going to be like, duh, there's rock everywhere. But these are specific areas where you need to focus because it's a different kind of rock, or it's a transition area, or it's something like that. So keep that in mind as you see me marking rock everywhere. So you've got rock here. You've got rock over here as well. So these little isolated piles. And then if you get back in here, behind this dock, right off this little point, there's a pretty decent little rock pile going on here as well. And of course, you got a shade line there too. That's always good, depending on the time of the year that you're fishing that. Then if we move back in here, you got a little bit of rock going on in here, but really this area right here looks the best. It's got a lot chunkier rock, a lot heavier, a lot bigger than all the other rock around it. So definitely go back in there and fish that. Now, if you haven't ever fished Texoma before, I've heard that marinas are lights out on Texoma. So it may be one of those things where if you only have like a day or so, just stick to the marinas. This lake is huge, but if you've got a lot of time to explore this lake and go out and check it out, man, there's so much stuff to look at. This looks like an awesome lake to fish. So I'm going to keep moving on down through here, going down in through all this marinas. I was really just looking to see if I could find anything unique in there. I didn't really see too much going on in that one. There is a pretty good ramp right here, and this one doesn't look like it's used that much, so that could definitely be a good ramp to fish. And then if you look at this creek channel back here, it's actually pretty significant. So I could see them relating to this creek channel. So definitely go back there and see if they're in that little ditch area where it gets deeper right in there around that little bend right there. That could be a good area, or even right here where it makes a little bend right in this area. So check those out. That could definitely be a little secret creek channel that most people probably just drive right past, not even look back there, that there can actually be some fish in there for you. And then moving over here, you've got another ramp that doesn't look like it's getting used very much. Looks more like a private type of a ramp. And then moving up here, get around these docks. Some of these docks have some really good rock piles in them. Like this one's got a really good rock pile, some really big boulders and things. And then this one here has the same thing, some really good sized boulders as well. Now, if I bring the lake up, the lake's going to come all the way up here, so you're not going to see all the stuff that I'm showing you. Like, let's take, for example, if we were out there today and we wanted to go look at it in 2021, this is back in February, it looks completely different than what we were looking at. So you wouldn't realize that those big old boulders are just right here or right here. So that's what I mean by these are good areas to go look at. Let's move that back to April of 2014, if it'll let me. We're going to go August of 14 now because it won't let me get back to April 14. So then we're going to move on up. We're going to go around the bank line, and really we're just looking again for anything that's different. And that's where you'll notice here. You'll notice a lot of that was the same, but then you got some chunkier rock right in here. And the same thing going on here as well as here. This one you've actually got a little transition area going on right in here too. So just this little spot right in here could be a good spot to look at. Then I'm going to keep moving down the bank line, and really we're going to see the same thing over and over again. And since we have so many points to talk about, I'm not going to spend too much time just scanning through the bank line, but I wanted to show you this because, I think they're going to be good spots for you to take a look at. So here you can tell it's a little bit different rock, and then here it gets completely different. So I marked one there. Here you've also got this little rock ledge. So you could literally fish this whole bank line from this ledge here, maybe to there, to that transition point. And then maybe keep fishing that if you wanted, or just come over here and start on this side and fish to here and see which rock they like. They're either going to like that rock or that rock if they're relating to it. And then from that point, you could start really, being a lot more efficient. Then moving over here, you've got the same type of rock going on here. Then as we move further, kind of all the same thing, nothing too crazy different except for right in here. Now it looks like a really good, something totally different, it stands out. It's completely different than everything else around it. So definitely go fish in that little area. And we've talked about Lake Texoma on all the other breakdowns. So if you've heard me say it before, my apologies. But if you're new to this one, I can see where if you were fishing this lake, you could spend a ton of time on dead water or basically just inefficient water. Maybe you'll catch a few here and there, but you just wouldn't really be able to catch a lot of fish. So you really need to be more efficient on this lake and focus on those hot spots. And I think that's really going to help you catch more fish in the day, make your day a lot more enjoyable. And it's also probably going to keep you from burning a ton of fuel as well, because that you could definitely do on this lake. So then moving down here, if we look off of this point, kind of soft, and then all of a sudden it gets hard right off the edge of it. So right in there where all that rock would be a good area to look at. You also have a good rock pile back in here. And then as we move further back in this marina, there's all kinds of interesting stuff back in these marinas. So this one has just random tires. So you can see there's a random tire right there, random like a group of tires. That's usually a good crappie spot, but could also be good attractions for bass. And then if we go way back in here, there's a really nice creek channel that comes back in here. So you'll see that I marked it for you guys. And you really want to focus on the bend. So wherever it makes a turn, right in there, it makes a turn, almost kind of comes up there. It's hard to tell if it went there or here, but somewhere right in that turn right there could be good. Also right here, and I didn't even notice it when I marked this, but if you look right here, there's a little bit of a ledge going on right off the edge of that. That might be like an old pond or something maybe, and that's the little channel that comes out of the pond dam. I'm not sure, but that right there could be promising as well. So go look at that point while you're over there. And then as we move over here, we've got a good transition area, right? Rocked or really sandy and dirt over to the rock. So that looks good. That rock actually goes from that on the whole edge of that point. So I marked it rock to rock. You've got the same type thing going on here as well. So just those random rock piles that are out there. And then if you move back down in here, you got another creek channel. And this one makes some pretty good bends. So you got a good bend here that actually tees into another one. So this right here would be primo. Back in here would be primo. Any of these bends right here. Also up here where it slams against the bank line right here and then makes a hard turn. So that right area right in there. Plus it looks like you might even have a fallen tree down there that could possibly be in the water. So this area, especially right here, where you see it get a little harder there, where that creek channel really hits against it, that can be a really good area to take a look at. All right, so I'm going to move on up. You got some of those additional rocks here where there's not a lot going on, and then you've got these random rock piles or stretches. So right in there is a good one. And then right over here off of this point is a good one as well. And you got the same thing that goes on here. Actually, before I get there, let me go back here. You've got some good rock piles right here off this little secondary point. You've also got a little break going on in here and then some rock over here. I could see this having some potential for sure. And you've also got a creek channel that's back here as well. And then as we move up, the next thing that we find is a transition area right in here. So you've got rocks and then it kind of moves over to that dirt. So definitely right in here, see if that transition area follows out further out into the water. If it does, fish right along that area, just right where that break is, where that change occurs. Then as we move up here, the next thing that I found up in this marina was really just this big, huge, long stretch of tires. That could be a lot of fun right there. So definitely check those out. Check out this ramp. Come over here, there's some additional riprap, like really shallow. So talking like shallow diving crankbaits, things like that. Maybe right here on this little 50-yard stretch or however long that is. And then we're going to move on up. Not much going on that bank line until we get up here, and then we're starting to see this rock again. So we're going from that red clay, and then all of a sudden we get off this point, and it's a hard point. So I could see this being a very good point to fish. Especially the way it sets up. It's got a little bit of a ledge on it and it's really hard off the sides of it. And then you've got this transition area going on basically right in through here somewhere. And then if we move on down, that rock kind of goes away and goes back to dirt. And then you get a little bit of rock pile here, another one there, and then a little bit back in here as well where it starts getting hard again. So you're just looking for those places where it's going from soft to hard, or where the rock is, maybe it's small and it goes to a boulder, or just all those kinds of things. Those are typically the areas that they're going to relate to the most. So then moving on down here, same thing. got those rock piles. You got a nice little rocky point coming off here with a decent little break. Same thing over here, little rocky point. Notice it's a little bit different than everything else. There's not a lot of heavy rock here. It starts to get a little bit heavier right in here, and then it's really heavy right here. So check that out, especially being on a point. That looks really good. Moving back down in here, bunch of junk going on there. Not a lot there, but then you got a really good little rocky point here as well. You got rocks on that point and that point. And then moving down, the next thing we'll find is a ditch that's back in here. So this looks like it used to be an old pond, possibly something like that. And then you've got a little ditch that comes right out of it. So remember we talking earlier about that one that looked like a pond too, and it had that break off the edge of it. Those are always really good areas to look at, right where that little ditch comes out of the pond dam, and right in that little area where it has usually a V or a ditch where the pond dam was. Those are always great areas to look at. So I'm going to zoom back out here. Let me zoom back out a little bit further to show you guys where I'm at. I'm getting further down in here. Let's zoom back in. Let's keep looking. Got a pretty decent little island out there, but wasn't anything on it. I didn't see rock or hard spots or anything like that. The next rock that I found was back here off of this point. Nice little boulder or something going on there. And that could be rock right in there too. It's hard to tell on the image. Then actually found some brush. Hadn't seen brush in a long time. It was just rock, 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 rock. And then boom, we got a nice brush pile right in here. So crappie fishermen again, mark that one down. That's probably a good one. Bass fishermen, you want to go there too, because the crappie are there, the bass are there because they like to eat them as well. So definitely go there and check it out. Next thing would be a rock pile over here. So again, dirt, just a bunch of junk, and then we start getting these hard spots. So focus on these hard spots. Skip all that sandy stuff. Then moving over, the next thing we found was the laydowns that were back in here. So there's a laydown right here. So actually, I guess you could say there were two different brush piles in this area. There's a laydown right here. There's a couple of them right here. You can see two right here. And then this is pretty cool. If we go back in here, there's like an old John boat or something that's sunk back in here. So go down there and fish around it just so you caught a fish off a boat. That'd be pretty cool. But anyway, it's always neat to find those kind of things when you're looking at the satellite imagery. Then further back in here, there's some more brush. Again, not a lot, just dirt and junk like that, and these random brush piles that were back here. Got a little bit of a saddle going on right in here that might be worthy of looking at, but the challenge is usually you find like a hard spot on there or something like that, and there's just nothing there. So me personally, I've just never really fished around all this sandy type stuff, so I probably would not fish there. I would look more for the harder areas or for brush and stuff like that. So then moving down here, takes me forever to find anything, and then finally found a ramp that was down here. So I guarantee that's a good ramp. It's got some rock around it, stuff like that. I could see that them being attracted to that, especially since there's not really a lot of other things in the area. Then over here, you've got a rock pile as well. That one could be juicy. You've got another rock pile right here that's off of this point. Just some big old rocks too. Like it goes from nothing to these giant boulders. And then you got another ramp that's here. This one's not as good. It's got the concrete, so that's always good. But it doesn't have a lot of rock around it. Usually you'll see these rock piles that are submerged all the way out around it that come out way deep. And those are usually, for me, those typically are the better ones. I'm going to zoom back out here. We're almost to the back of this coast. You'll see where we're at now. We're going to go a little bit further down here, and then we're going to start working our way back up. So we get over here. And we get out onto these little platform things again that are back in this area. I don't even know if you can get back in here. It's so shallow. I don't know if I'd waste a lot of time, but there is a ramp back in here. And then let's keep moving up because, again, that area just didn't look very good to be going back in. There is a little creek channel back in there, but again, couldn't really tell the depth, and it just didn't look that good. But as you start moving your way back up, there are some things that look somewhat promising. So as we move up in here, we've got some rock. Right here, these little rock piles. There's some debris out here as well. I couldn't tell what that was. This could be tire tracks, or it could be debris as well, but that's definitely debris right in there. You've also got some additional debris piles that are out in here. Just these random little piles. I mean, if there were fish on these, they would be the best honey holes ever because no one's going to go back here and check that out. You've also got a nice little creek channel coming back in here. So not sure the depth that you have back in here, but maybe go back in here and check out these little bins if they're deep enough. See if you can find anything back in there. Then moving up here, getting into this next little area of docks or marina, whatever we want to call it. There's a pretty decent ramp right here that you could fish. There's also rock that's back off these points. So you'll see right here, we got some rock. There's a little bit more over here. And then if we move back in this little pocket, there's these random rock piles. There's one there and there's one right here too. Then we're going to keep moving up. Kind of the same type thing, right? Dirt, not a lot of rock going on. And then all of a sudden you'll find these rock piles. There's one here. There's also one here off the point. Then we're going to move up. It's a little bit further. Finally starting to get in a little bit better stuff, at least giving you 4 or 5 different things to look at when you get in the pocket. Here we've got a little bit of a point going on. We've got a hard spot off the edge coming off a soft area. We've got a little bit of a rock ledge or something going on here. You got the same thing going on right in this area. You've also got some laydowns that are back in here. A big debris pile that's back here. This I wasn't even sure what it was. I don't know if it's debris or what. It's got to be debris because it's too perfect of like circles. But I don't know what this is, but that can definitely be worth looking at. And then if we get over here, there's a pile of tires that are out here off of this point that have been strategically placed. So definitely a good area to look at right there too. All right, so I'm going to zoom back out. We're going to continue to move up. We're about, I'd say about halfway down that cove. So pretty far down there. We're going to keep moving our way back up. We got a ramp that's right in here. And that one looks like a private ramp. I can see that one being good. It's got a good hard area around it as well. And then when we get out here to this point, this looks good. I love this. I love how the point comes out. A big, secondary point going back into a major creek arm. So this looks great. Definitely fish this. These 2 rock piles right here are rock areas. And then we're going to scoot around over here over to this side. A lot of that, dirt banks, stuff like that. But then when we get back in here, we've got some debris down in here. Not sure what that was. Almost looked like I don't know. Can't tell what it is. Like an old refrigerator or something like that. It's almost a perfect square. So couldn't tell what it was. We got some laydowns that are up here off this point. So maybe they're on the rock or they're on wood. Well, you've only got a few areas where they would be on wood here. So those could be really good spots if that was the case. We've also got rocks over here. And then we dig way back in here. Just a few of these little secondary points have rocks on them. This one has rock on it, and this one has rock on it. And then notice the other ones, they're just kind of slow tapering with just a lot of dirt and mud. Then we move up here. There's another point that comes off. It's got that hard top on it as well. So definitely want to hit that little secondary point there. And then when you get over here to this main kind of bigger point going back in here, it's still a secondary point, but you get back in here, you've got some pretty good rock going on here with a decent little ledge. So then I'm going to move on over. Got some decent rock there. I didn't mark that one because I wasn't sure if it would actually be underwater. But moving here, you've got this little hidden little point here with a little rock pile on it. That's pretty cool. And then if we move back around this marina and we get back in this backside, you've got a pretty decent creek channel with a decent little bend going on right here. And then another bend back in this side. And then there's some debris that's been pushed up, looks like from some wash off, maybe from this side, that's pushed up right into this area. So you can see it right here. There's actually a little bit more right there. I missed that one, but a good laydown of debris right in this area. So check that out, especially if you like going up there in shallow or if it's springtime, something like that. Then as we move out, we're going to start finding more debris and stuff like that. So there's additional debris that was in here. I must not be on the right image because we should be able to see that. And we can't, but no big deal. There's some debris that's right in there, so definitely check that out. There's some brush right here. You can see it. There's more brush right in here. can't remember if there was more in here as well. Yeah, there's a couple different laydowns that are back here too. So you've got a nice laydown there, a pretty decent sized one back in here as well. And then just some random rock piles, just dirt, and then all of a sudden a couple piles of rocks. So definitely fish those rocks for sure. Going back in here, you've got like an old, looks like possibly an old pond that was back there, maybe, or maybe it's just the way it looks. But you do have that little ditch that happens right in that area, and you've got a lay down there as well. So definitely check that out. Check out that lay down there, and then also those other two around them. Now we're going to move on over. Next thing we find on this point would be another hard spot, or that rocky spot on that point. And then we've got some laydowns over here. And then as we move up a little bit further, some more laydowns right in this area. You've got laydowns and maybe even a hard spot right there. Couldn't tell if that was just a laydown or if there was rock around it. But look in that area, there's definitely some kind of debris there. Another laydown there as well. And then moving out here, I couldn't tell if this point is if it's harder or if it's just still dirt. Couldn't tell, so I didn't mark it. Didn't want to waste too many marks on here. I've got thousands of them for Lake Texoma, but I do like this area right here where it's soft, and then you can tell there's a little bit of a hard point going on right off the edge of that. Now we're going to move back up and keep going in these little pockets, just showing you the different things that are in here. Again, rocks off that point, rock off that point, and rock off this point. This one looks pretty neat. Look at this one. It's a little bit bigger than everything else around it. And then this one's really isolated. So really nothing. Then you've got like this long stretch of a rock pile right there. If you can't tell, I like random rock piles for sure. Out here, this one, look at that. That is awesome. I mean, you look at everything around it, there's just not a lot around it. And then all of a sudden you get out here in a little bit deeper water, and now you've got to finally find the rock pile. So right in here would be good, and then right in here as well. Both those spots could be good areas. And then you've got a little bit of rock back in here with some debris and stuff too. Just not sure your depth on there. I can see that being fairly shallow. Gonna move back up into this pocket. We've got a ramp here. Got some brush going on back in here as well. So you can see here, I've marked the brush pile there. There's some more brush in here. There's some rock off this little point. There's laydowns back here. There's all kinds of good stuff to fish over in this area. And then when you get off of this point, you get this nice little rocky area. So it's just right around the point, left and right side of it, and right in the middle of it, you got these random little rock piles. I could see that being good, and you kind of have the same thing going on here. It's starting to happen right in here, so it's not as good as being isolated like that other one was, but you've still got a really good rock pile starting to happen right off the edge of this point and not a lot around it. So right on this point and this point can be really good spots. I would definitely go look at those areas. You got some additional rock that's right off of here, so you can see where it's starting to create a little rock pile here, and you got some more right out here off the edge. And again, just a lot of sand and dirt around there. And then as we move up, I like these little humps, but they didn't have any rocks on them, so I didn't mark them for you. Even this one kind of comes out like a little point, but no hard spot on the edge of it. The hard spot was actually over here, right in this area, and right here. So I could see where this lake could be deceiving. If you were just looking at the bank, you might miss a lot of these spots because they're not obvious. Like here, these tires, you wouldn't even know they were there. There's a big old pile of tires right here on the bank line. You wouldn't even know that it was there unless you pulled up that image and saw it. And then if you came back in here, if you fished these two tires, or I guess like whatever you want to call them, tire walls, brake walls made on tires, however you want to call them, you could flip those and then also come back in here, and there's some really good rock ledges right in here. So right here and right here. There's also a ramp over there as well. More of those tires. So if you were on that tire pattern, man, you could have a heyday back in here. You got tires there, all over here. You've got some back in here as well, and more here. And then they just keep going, more, and more. So literally, if you went out and you threw a spoon or spinner bait, or you were flipping around those tires and you caught some and you knew the tire pattern was on, you need to head right over here and just spend your day here because you'll probably have a heyday. So next up after the tires would be rocks off this point, but pretty shallow, so be careful right in there. And I believe that covers us for that entire cove. So now I'm going to swing back around and just cover this little tip right here. And that's going to wrap us up for Zone 7 for Lake Texoma. This was a big one. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. So then we move up here, we see a creek channel that looked pretty significant. You can see the shade lines from it and everything. So I would definitely go look at that. You've also got some random rock right in here. This bank line didn't look too good, really shallow on this side. Didn't have the breaks and the rocks like the other side did. But it did have a couple things to look at. So we get over here, we've got a ramp over here that looks like it's just for that community, so probably not used very much. But again, on this ramp, you don't see those rock piles on the side of them. So not sure how effective that ramp would be. You do have a pretty good brush pile over here though. Someone's put a brush pile out here just in a random area. So you can check that out. And that might be the last one. I think I got one more to show you, which would be just these rocks that are right in here. Some just random couple of boulders and a bunch of dirt. So go over there, check it out. If for whatever reason you're over there fishing, maybe you live over there in my neighborhood and just want to go there and check out that rock. But anyways, that covers us for Zone 7 for Lake Texoma. If you haven't got your Simplistic fishing cards, definitely go out and check them out. Simplisticfish.squared.site. You can get your card there. You basically just order your card, tell me what graph you want. I'll give you the file for your graph. You plug it into the graph and you're good to go. I also offer the digital version, so if you don't want to pay the extra $10 for the SD card, you can just get the digital version, and I'll send you the digital file, and then you just copy that to your card and plug it into your graph. So either way, you can get these points pretty quickly. I broke down Lake Texoma in zones because we have so many different points on this. So you can purchase the Simplistic fishing cards by zone as opposed to having to purchase the entire lake. So anyways, guys, I hope this is helping you. I love these breakdowns for myself, so hopefully you guys are enjoying them as well. I've heard a lot of good feedback, so I really appreciate it. And until next time, I hope you guys catch your PB. Take care.